everybody. This is Keena Marie with Cocktail Chronicles, and we are here at American Spirit Works Distillery in Atlanta, Georgia. And we're here today with Chad Ralston. He's our Chief Marketing Officer here, and we just want to start talking about some interesting things that they have going on. Welcome, Chad.
Thank you. Thanks for coming out today.
Thank you for having us.
Absolutely.
We really appreciate it. So can you tell us a little bit about ASW?
Yeah, sure thing. So we got our start about 7 years ago now with just a little recipe we developed allegedly on a stovetop. Have to throw in the allegedly part because it is still totally illegal to home distill, right? So this was just a couple miles away. Ended up developing the recipe for a product that became known as American Spirit Whiskey, right? So it is a very kind of light mixable whiskey. I describe it as like a bridge between a vodka and a bourbon. So it's got the smooth, neutral character of a vodka, but it has a little bit of grain and mint on the finish, like you'll find with some bourbons. So at the time, like I said, this was around 7 years ago, the distillery laws here in the state were really challenging. You couldn't actually serve anything in a tasting room, right?
So what did you do?
So instead of serving waters here to the public, which we figured no one would actually drive to a distillery for, we partnered with a distillery in Charleston, known as Terracentia, to make that recipe for us, contract distilling. And so with the sort of the interest level and the traction that we got with that product here in the state of Georgia, we started looking for a facility to locate a distillery here in our hometown of Atlanta. So that was, call it, about 3 years ago. And the laws were starting to change gradually in our favor. So 3 years ago, you could serve a half-ounce sample in a tasting room. And so we decided to locate our distillery here, just across the street from one of the craft breweries that started the craft beverage movement here in Atlanta off. And started the build out in September of 2015. That's when we broke ground, and then actually started distilling here in our facility last spring with grand opening to the public last July 31st. So almost exactly a year ago.
Almost a year. So
Yeah.
can you tell us about your lineup and about how many products you have up?
Yeah, so we, like I said, we have American Spirit Whiskey. Then we've got a tasting room only product known as White Dog, which is made from 100% malted rye. And that is actually, White Dog is sort of a nickname for moonshine.
Okay.
So moonshine, as you know, is completely unaged, right?
Oh.
So the White Dog product is sort of a testament to our team dog, Barley. She's an American Bulldog. She's not here today. But it's kind of gamey, kind of moonshiny. But almost all of that went into barrels, at which point it matures into Resurgence Rye, which is Atlanta's first rye since Prohibition. So we've got the American Spirit Whiskey, we've got the White Dog tasting room only, we've got Resurgence Rye, which is in pretty much the whole state, particularly in and around Atlanta. And then we've got Fiddler Bourbon, which is a very high wheat content foraged bourbon that we brought in-house and finished here in various ways, one of which was finishing it on Georgia oak that we harvested about an hour north of here in Jackson County, Georgia.
Okay.
Split up that heartwood, seasoned it for over a year, and then hand charred it and placed it down into the barrels of this high wheat content Fiddler Bourbon. That really added some nice maple character. So that's 4 products there. You've got the American Spirit, the White Dog, Resurgence, Fiddler, and then we've got an Armor and Oak apple brandy, which is made from 100% North Georgia apples from Mercier up in Blue Ridge. Okay. And that is a little higher proof. It's 100 proof. It's very apple forward. Got some really nice toffee from the barrel. And then last but not least, we haven't quite released it yet, but in just a couple weeks, early August, we will be releasing Duality Double Malt, which is pretty innovative. It's the world's first whiskey of its kind, where we took, so most single malts, are made from 100% malted barley. Well, we took that concept and we married it with our Resurgence Rye concept, which Resurgence is pretty unique in the rye world because it's made from 100% malted rye. Okay. So we take 50% malted rye, the Resurgence Rye, and 50% malted barley. We mashed them and fermented them together and then distilled them together. So the result, Duality Double Malt, like I mentioned, it's really complex. I would say it's kind of like has the depth of bourbon, the robustness of rye, and guess you'd say, the complexity of a single malt all wrapped into one. It's really nice.
Okay. So I know that your single malt has some different notes to it. It has like apricot, graham cracker. Is it chocolate or something else as well?
Resurgence Rye, yeah.
Yeah, Resurgence Rye has that. What are the notes that we can expect to experience as customers when we try that duality double malt you're talking about that's going to be released?
Definitely. So duality is very honey and caramel forward, and then it has some nice fruit kind of in the mid palate, particularly stone fruit, a little bit of apricot, a little bit of like cherry.
Oh, nice.
Because we did use some cherry smoked malt in it. And then the finish has a really nice, just what I call a dusting of smoke. So just a little faint hint of smoke as well.
So it might go really well with like a cigar or some really good barbecue.
You got it, absolutely. And in fact, for the release on August 5th, we're serving it up with some Kevin Gillespie barbecue.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
That would be wonderful.
Yeah.
So I know that one thing that ASW is known for is using their barrels, like you see behind us.
Mm-hmm.
Are there different barrels that you're going to be using to let this whiskey settle, or is it going to be in the same ones that you use for some of your other?
That is a good question. So the way, I guess the initial release was aged entirely in new charred oak casks.
Okay.
But you make a good point. We will. In fact, this next batch we already have aging. Some of it is aging in some of our own ex-whiskey casks.
Okay.
So this was about 4 months ago now. We had Monday Night Brewing, just around the corner from us, released a Monday Night Scottish-style single malt whiskey, where they made what was effectively almost like draft and kilt, their Scotch ale, and then we distilled and matured the wash, as it's called, here. So they harvested all that and sold that single malt here in the Atlanta market. Well, we took those barrels that previously aged that Monday Night Scottish style single malt, and we put some duality into those. So yeah, we're actually as far as we know, we're one of the few distilleries in the world where we're actually aging some of our whiskeys in our own ex-whiskey casks. Because with bourbon, you can only age it in new barrels. But a lot of bourbon distillers out there, since really all they're making is bourbon, they send their used barrels over to single malt distillers in Scotland and Ireland.
Okay.
Well, we're actually keeping our ex-whiskey or one style of whiskey casks in-house and reusing them for another style of whiskey.
Okay.
Yeah.
I know that a lot of your different labels are designed by different people. What is the design for the new release?
So David Hale
Right.
is a really well-known Athens artist
Mm-hmm.
from Athens who designed the artwork for Resurgence Rye.
Okay.
So what we told him is we wanted a phoenix because symbolizing Atlanta, right? It's Atlanta's symbol, but also the category of rye was largely ignored after Prohibition. And so recently in the past 5-10 years, it's seen a bit of a renaissance or a resurgence, right? So our artwork, we said we just wanted a phoenix on there, and he really took that and ran with it and produced some really awesome artwork for Resurgence Rye. And then all of our other artwork we've actually done in-house. So for the most recent release, Duality is it's got a lot of what we call Easter eggs in it, right? So duality of the psyche. We have a really cool quote from Shakespeare's Macbeth, the double, double, toil and trouble, fire, burn, and cauldron bubble quote.
Mm-hmm.
And we worked with kind of the translator in Scotland who translates Shakespeare plays into Scottish Gaelic. So he translated that quote into Scottish Gaelic for us. That's on the front. We've got a sort of modern design pot still crest up at the top that has both a trident and a halo embedded in it. So there are actually a few other Easter eggs as well baked in there.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
That's awesome. So what is the best way that you would recommend for us to try this new double malt?
So I personally typically drink whiskeys either neat or with a splash or two of water. I think particularly with a splash or two of water, it helps open it up and you can see sort of another side of the whiskey. But I mean, it's actually pretty primed for cocktails as well. So I'm a Manhattan fan myself, and then when you sub in Scotch in Manhattan becomes a Rob Roy. So Rob Roy, another really good one is a smoking gun. So it's smoking gun, its name implies it has a little bit of smoke element to it. Well, the dusting of smoke in duality is really pretty suitable and ideal for that style cocktail.
You shared a little bit with us about your sustainability and reusing the barrels.
Mm-hmm.
How does that transcend to the double malt taste in comparison to the single malt?
It's tough to say precisely because all of the barrels that previously aged another barrel and are still aging duality, they have not been harvested yet.
Okay.
So the current duality, this first release, was only aged in new barrels. But I will say that aging this next batch of duality in some ex-whiskey barrels, it actually sweetens it up a little bit because it's picking up some vanilla and caramel flavors from the previous whiskey, right? So beyond that, I would say aging duality in some once used whiskey casks also leads to a slightly longer maturation period because you have less oak to extract, right? Some of that oak has already been used up.
Mm-hmm.
So a longer maturation period, it'll lead to a slightly more sort of subtle and I would say maybe a little more round textured spirit.
What is one things you would like for us to remember about your duality double malt whiskey?
That it is literally the first whiskey of its kind in the world. And so we're trying to be very innovative here while also keeping a strong sort of footing in tradition. So we use a very traditional Scottish style copper pot still distillation method, but we couple that with the Appalachian innovation of grain and distillation. So that's sort of one way that we're marrying tradition and innovation, but also in terms of the recipes we're coming up with for whiskeys. We're not necessarily just staying in the category, the well-known categories of bourbon, rye, and single malt. We're playing around with new recipes like double malt, right? So where we're combining the 50% malted rye, 50% malted barley.
We can't wait to try it. Can you tell us when it's going to be released to the public?
Definitely. So we have a release party August 5th. That's a Saturday, just a couple weeks from now. And so that is the date that we're sort of celebrating its launch to the public, and starting that next week, it will be available initially in August, just a few bottle shops around town. So we're looking at, I don't know all of the ones for certain right now, but I know that Tower, Greens, Total Wine will get bottles for sure. We do have American Spirit whiskey available online, to your point, and we will probably eventually in the next couple of months get a couple more of our products online as well.
Are you guys entering in any competitions? Have you winning any awards? I definitely felt like the apple brandy was amazing.
Yeah.
So I just want to know.
Well, so to date, we have not felt like we've had enough supply to really even put much towards award submissions.
Mm-hmm.
But we did recently submit the apple brandy to an award panel, and I think we hear back in the next 2 or 3 weeks. And then we're gearing up for San Francisco World Spirits competition in, I believe it's April of next year, and we'll submit quite a few of our products then as well. In terms of our distillery itself, just that we are crafting some trailblazing double pot still bourbons, ryes, and malt whiskeys. And as it stands, we like to fancy ourselves Atlanta's hometown whiskey distillery. So yeah, I would say that, and just come on in for a tour. We're open Thursdays and Fridays 4:30 to 7, and Saturdays from 2 to 5.
And if they want to be a part of your ASW family, are there ways they can follow you or stay connected?
Yeah, we are located on all forms of social media except for MySpace.
Okay.
We figured MySpace wasn't working. Actually, Snapchat, we're not on either. But Instagram, Facebook, Twitter at ASW Distillery. And then we have a newsletter as well. So if you wanted to sign up for that, we have release events, we have new products coming out. That's you can sign up for on our website at aswdistillery.com, and I think that covers everything.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much again for just allowing us to come in and spotlight ASW. Hope that everyone at all of our cocktailers that you now know there's someplace in Atlanta that you need to definitely come to. It's ASW. It's Atlanta's finest, and you should definitely check it out.